Pound.
In a world
The hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100 now.
Does Bryce Young's greatest game of his career behind a dominant offensive line mean a resurgent Bryce Young Bucks all doubters? You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's the longest running Panthers podcast on all of the interwebs. Thank you for being here. Each and every week, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. This is my wheel man, Cody Lack. What's up, my friend?
Tony Dunn, you already know. There's no way I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than here with my boys talking Panther football. And we have a resurgent Bryce Young. The benching was the best thing to ever happen to him. Now Panther fans all over the world, and even those in the mainstream media who were saying that we needed to trade Bryce Young, have now done a full 180 and are saying that he had one of the better quarterback performances of the entire year. Man, what a difference a benching can make. We have news and updates on Jatavion Sanders. We have news and updates on our matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Xavier Leggett saying Bryce put on a one hell of a post-game speech to rally the troops. Man, I'm excited for the show tonight, Tony, but as you know, we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. Tony, you know him, I love him. It's the brand ambassador, D's Ill Skills, Panther Pickle in the building, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, Eric Blair, G Baby in the motherfucking house, Harvey London, John B. Jenkins, Matt, Sean Hume, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-1598. We'd love to get your thoughts on the Panthers' victory, Bryce Young's performance, how you see this, what it means for the Panthers' future, and moral victory, or are you worried about the loss? I think most people are happy. CK in the house, the voice that makes some voice. How you doing, my friend?
Man, it is rare to be able to wear a Panthers jersey the day after a loss and just have people talk to you about how good the Panthers looked. You know, like that part was to have people just the entire time saying like, man, I wish you guys would have beaten the Chiefs. We were really it was surprising to see you guys come back. Like it was just it's really nice to be able to wake up on a Monday morning and have a conversation about the Carolina Panthers that isn't about how bad we are. So man, I've been having a good week so far, and it started with the Panthers giving us darn near close to a crazy win for the year. So that would have been sick.
Do us a solid, folks. Smash the thumbs up button. Hit the like, hit the repost, share the link on social media, wherever you hang out and talk with your friends. We grow incrementally, and every time a new person gets introduced to the show, we often get a new member of the community. So you guys are the backbone of this show, and we need your help as we continue forward. Cody Lack, tonight's show, a resurgent Bryce Young, Bucks all doubters. Carolina coming off a 30-27 loss. Is that the score again? Was 3?
Yes.
3 all right.
30-27.
To the Kansas City Chiefs. We had a good post-game show, arguably the best or most fun post-game show of the season, despite it being a loss, and largely because this is the third performance in a row where Bryce Young has continued to improve, and we saw his best performance just yet. What are we starting with? I mean, I don't think there's anything but to start with, but Bryce Young.
I mean, what more could you want to start with? Who possibly would we start with other than the man himself? Bryce Young finally starting to pay dividends. Bryce Young against the Chiefs had a 81.8 passing grade, 5 big time throws, and 74.5 adjusted completion percentage. Tony, as I said, people have come out and they have started to take note of our boy Bryce and everything that he's been able to do. You see Pat McAfee up there, the 33rd team. Kurt Warner was up there. Again, a lot of these guys were even kind of, look, they kept it real like a lot of us did. When Bryce Young wasn't playing well, that was the narrative. Did the Panthers mess up? Should they have taken Stroud? All these different things. And we're going to ask ourselves that for years to come. But he is now starting to move the momentum in his favor. And something that you also have to mention when talking about Bryce's performance is that it was another really good offensive day of play calling from Dave Canales, who played a great game. He helped Bryce get into rhythm. It was overall a fantastic day for our offense, but it was by far what I'm saying and what many people are saying is the best game of Bryce Young's career. Again, so let's be real, the best team in football. I mean, he did it when it mattered the most against the team that it matters most for. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about Bryce overall?
Well, one of the stats that we talked about, I think, on the post-game show was that there have been 3 teams to score over 25 points against the Kansas City Chiefs, that being the Bills, the Bengals, and the Panthers. You look at this passing chart, CK, we see downfield throws. I can tell you one on the left hash that Xavier Legette wants back. We'll talk about that later in the show. You add 30 more yards to this. You're kissing his first 300-yard game of his career. In fact, this is probably the most. I wonder if this is the most passing yards he's had in the NFL. I'll try to check that out. But really, the only negative to this game was that the Panthers in the first half of the game could not convert in the red zone. And you had a couple of opportunities. The Tommy Tremble pass, he zips a fastball in there. Good pass, good location. Tommy Tremble couldn't come down with it. CK, I think it's hard to argue that this wasn't his best game of his career, and a lot of positive signs, really, and stuff we needed to see, or really makes us hopeful.
Dude, it's everything that we were hoping for, and without knowing more about how that post game discussion went, like that's if what we are going to be talking about with Xavier Legette and everything, is something that is real, and we saw JC Horn talking about him. That could be what we've been looking for out of Bryce, which is that fire, that passion, that leadership position that we've been needing at that quarterback position. I think that I wish that we would have had this Bryce from day one, but I tell you what, it's going to feel incredible to see if this dude can turn it around and be the franchise guy, and then be able to just throw that in everybody's face. Like, I am perfectly fine. I was a defender of Bryce last year. I turned the tide this year after seeing him in person at the Chargers game. I'll be happy to eat crow, because I've always stated the best thing that could possibly happen for the Panthers is for him to turn it on and for him to be the guy. And I wanted that since day one. You guys know how much I defended him last year. And I'm just happy, man, that this dude is showing us a little bit of a spark that we want to see consistently show up week in and week out. And I think the dude, maybe he unlocked that mental block that's been holding him back for a bit.
That's a good way of putting it, unlocking the mental block. While his future success is not guaranteed, the one thing is that his failure in the tombstone in Carolina and the tombstone in the NFL is not guaranteed, like it seemed just a month and a half ago or a month ago. Bryce Young gaining some confidence, Cody, playing better, while his career and the future is not written yet. There are positive signs, and I got to say, like CK said, if he can turn it around, I wonder what, not only, first, I don't want fans, I hate the apology crap, you owe this, receipts, all this crap. Let people have opinions, let them do this, but talk about making him endearing to Panther Nation. if he is able to turn this around and kind of, become a future big part of the Panthers organization, this will add to the kind of lore and only, I think, add to some of the things about how people will start to fight for him.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And listen, there have been a contingent among us Panther fans that have just wanted Bryce to prove it. And hey, even if you didn't believe in him, we're saying, hey, I am willing to let this kid turn us into a believer. And I have said that. I know a bunch of people have been saying that.
I think that's how I've been too.
Yeah, going into this, he was the shortest quarterback ever drafted, let alone number 1 overall. Didn't have the craziest arm talent. And then we were sold that he had this mental acuity to be able to read defenses and know where the ball is going. And all of these things sold us that he was a polished product that was ready to go. And unfortunately for Bryce, that was not the truth. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really even know what to equate how bad his first 2 performances of the year were. Like some people saying he had the yips. I know some of the people in our comment section on the post game show mentioned that they really think it was just he was upset and depressed because he broke up with that one girl or whatever, and that he was going through some shit. Listen, I do not know what can 100% be attributed to the turnaround of Bryce Young, but in my mind, I think I pinpointed to a few things. One, the benching, like we mentioned before. Yeah. I think taking him away from the action and Dave Canales going to him, making him sit down and have him continue to be a good teammate on the sideline to the offense and to Andy Dalton. I really think that kind of humbled Bryce and let him know that, hey, man, me being the number 1 draft pick isn't guaranteed that I'm going to be the starter for the Carolina Panthers moving forward. I think that added a bunch of motivation for him to be able to go out and do what he's been able to do. Another thing is I think he's just more trusting in what's around him. We're going to mention the offensive line here in a minute. And, from the start of the year to now, with our starters or with the backups having to fill in key places, this offensive line has given its quarterbacks time to survey the field and get the ball out of his hands. And I think Bryce has finally settled down to the point where he trusts that offensive line enough to be able to play loose, be able to play free, and as people have been saying, finally let that Alabama quarterback that we've been waiting to see show up here in Carolina. Now, I'm still, and I believe I'm fair in this and saying this, I'm still not 100% sold on Bryce. I think that this is the perfect step forward and the right amount of performance to show that he has what's capable to build on and around him. I want to see more performances like this. I'm hoping that he has some more down the stretch. I think every game from now for the rest of this season is winnable for the Carolina Panthers. And if Bryce continues to put up these types of numbers and do these types of things, then yeah, baby, I am ready for the Bryce Young future. More than ready.
I think one of the issues that we're running into is, maybe it's the nature of football, maybe it's the nature of fandom, maybe it's the nature of the social media world. But, Bryce was cooked by 14 or 19 games of his NFL career. And now 3 games in, he's a savior, right? And I think what we could, just say the truth lies in the middle, in that the kid has gone out there and played well to the point where it's taken some of the pressure off the Panthers to make a decision, maybe even prematurely on him, or force a decision at the quarterback position. The other thing I think too is maybe Bryce Young has a little bit of a momentum player. One of the things that the Carolina Panthers were unable to do for the first 19 games of his career was ultimately convert third downs and have drives. There was some games where it just felt like you were 3 and out every single time.
Yeah.
And it was just hard. I mean, whether it's a drop pass, whether it's an errant throw, whether it's an interception, whether it's a stuffed run on first down or something, the Panthers just couldn't get anything going. And for a young player, I mean, maybe he does. Cam was a momentum player. Cam, when he got cooking, he would catch fire. I always said with Cam, the best thing to do for him was to run him on first down every game and get his jersey dirty. And then all of a sudden he shakes off the little nerves, the little this, and he just gets into the rhythm. I think just Bryce Young having some extended drives, a little bit of success. Success has begat success in this case.
Yeah.
And he's getting some momentum.
I don't disagree. I think I think when you see he got back-to-back wins, came out of the bye week, was able to see the highs and lows of everything. I think he realized that this team can win when he's not the only reason for winning. And I think when you open up that level of confidence, knowing that you can uncork it and the rest of the offense can pick up their end of things, I think there's a lot of value in the confidence that brings to a player like Bryce Young. What I worry about is a regression the moment something goes wrong again. And that's where I think we've got to be willing to, give him time to prove what he's capable of doing in a consistent manner. But I think I sincerely mean this. I think we need to see this on a basis of he throws an interception and then comes back out and he doesn't do another dumb play, right? He's able to learn from those mistakes. He's not just compounding those mistakes, if you will. And that's my hope. And I'm optimistic that we're going to see that. I mean, 3 weeks now, we've seen the dude play I'd say those 2 wins that he had back to back, he played like an average quarterback. This week he played like an elite quarterback, and we'll see if that's something that he can maintain.
When it comes to his future, or I think for me, is regardless of how he plays, unless for some reason there's just some crazy falling apart where like we see the Bryce Young of weeks 1 and 2 over the next 6 weeks and just some mental break or physical spiral. I think that this means that the Carolina Panthers need to stick with Bryce Young for another year. And I don't know. I mean, I think you probably go into the year assuming he's your starter. Not a competition. None of this is maybe you bring in a competent backup, whether it be a veteran of some sort, not one that's pressuring him to perform, but one that can perform in case Bryce Young gets injured or something to that effect. But I mean, this is, I think, a blessing for us as Panther fans, because hitting the reset button after 2 years with 4 coaches and 4 years or whatever the number is we're at this point, the crazy quarterback carousel, hitting the reset would just be so detrimental to the organization's development. So getting Bryce Young just for another year and building to see, I think it's just positive for the Carolina Panthers. So
I agree. I think we're going into next year with a clear vision, and we can build this team up with the potential of Bryce being the guy. And if it's not the guy, well, everything that I wanted in the offseason still is true. I didn't think drafting a quarterback makes a tremendous amount of sense right now. And so many holes that we have on this defense, I think we allow ourselves to be aggressive in the off season with obtaining defensive players, while at the same time looking into the draft for those guys that are going to be developmental, that we're going to be able to build this team around in the future as well.
Yeah. Guys, did you know that Thanksgiving is just 2 days away? And a great thing about Thanksgiving is we get to eat and watch football and play daily fantasy football sports. Underdog Fantasy is the place to go if you want to have fun, make a little coin, and potentially get up to $1,000 deposit match if you use the promo code C3. On Thanksgiving, you could get Jahmyr Gibbs
C3P
C3P. Thank you. I'm just so accustomed to saying the C3P, folks. C3P promo code. Jahmyr Gibbs, you can get him for a half receiving touchdown or rushing touchdown. Go higher or lower. Go lower. You get 1.36 times your money. Caleb Williams on the docket at 228 and a half passing yards. Detroit's going to be putting up a lot of points. While that Bears defense is very good, that Detroit offensive machine feels unstoppable. Caleb Williams could be tossing the ball around. Big game, real couple of disappointing losses. Connection to the Carolina Panthers. Thomas Brown now calling plays for the Chicago Bears. Jared Goff, 248 and a half passing yards, higher or lower. Amon St. Rob Brown, he seems like a touchdown machine. David Montgomery, another touchdown machine. You can go make these plays on Underdog Fantasy Sports. We've been playing Underdog, chasing or trailing Chuba Hubbard, right? This week, you could have had a great return with Bryce Young. So you go to underdogfantasy.com. You download the app, even simpler. All you got to do is select a couple of players, go higher or lower, and your first-time deposit, if you're a first-time player, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash if you use the promo code C3P. That's download the app today, and use the promo code C3P to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Guys, higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog, just like Cody's about to make this call.
Must be 18 years of age, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Avoid in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK, or text HOPE New York to 467-369. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring us all the way through the playoffs. Play daily fantasy sports with Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code C3P, baby. Helps out the pod. CK, this next one is for you, man, because another criticism that you sort of brought to light earlier this year in regards to Bryce Young was the leadership, that he doesn't have that vocal sort of burst to want to rally the troops, right? Well, wouldn't you know it, we're starting to see some real headway being made in that area too, man, because now reports have come out that after the loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, quarterback Bryce Young addressed the entire team after the game, and guard Robert Hunt said he was so inspired by the speech that he wanted to go out there and play again. He is becoming a better and better leader, and Xavier Leggett even said that it lit a fire in the whole organization. Mentioned that Young changed his voice and all. That man put the bass in his voice to address the Carolina Panthers. CK, what do you make of this as someone who said that this is an area that he needed to continue to grow and get better in?
I'll tell you this. I'm ready to see the pregame speeches and all of that rah-rah that you want from a leader like that. So I'm really excited to hear this, but I also think we've heard things like this before coming into the year. And, we didn't really see that translate, but now that he's playing well, we'll see if that confidence is something that's, is allowing him to elevate those people around him that we've all been wanting him to be able to do. And so, especially if there's going to be some injuries to some guys like Jatavian Sanders, where we're going to have to be dealing with, another issue with not having as many weapons as maybe we did before. But man, I'm that's something that's music to my ears. That's what I want to hear. That's the things I like to hear. And I'll be honest with you. I think I take more of what JC Horn said as fact more so than Robert Hunt, because, Robert Hunt's protecting the quarterback. JC Horn doesn't really have that level of responsibility. So I take his with a little bit more of a, authority on the matter, and the fact the dude calls him a dog. I think I'm going to trust JC Horn over that every day of the week.
Tony, what do you make of this? Changed his voice, had the organization on fire, having Robert Hunt wanting to go out there and play more. I mean, this is what we wanted, man. I mean, this is Bryce assuming that role that we wanted him to. Is this too late or too early to give the congrats, or how do you think?
Yeah, I think, look, I don't know, rarely, or should I say rarely, is somebody who is a rookie can walk in and be an established leader. You can be an impressive player. You can be a force to deal with. But being a leader among men who have been in that league and been through a lot of things that you haven't been just because you're a high draft pick is a forced leadership style. You know, maybe this is just the natural evolution of Bryce becoming more confident. Hey, maybe he's just growing up a little, you know what I mean? And not like growing up as in immature growing up, but I mean, the kid was just a kid, you know? I don't think he like changed his voice like, hey guys, I want to be like a big, like all you respect me. But I think that, you know, he's talking with his chest, a little bass in his chest now. And that comes with gaining some confidence, some excitement, and playing a little bit looser. So to me, this just seems like the natural evolution that will come with a little bit of success and a little bit of mental confidence. And as the team is growing together, you know, they've been through this together. It's not just Bryce Young that's faced struggles. Is this team has faced struggles and have kind of, you know, walking through the muck together. And Bryce has become a symbol of that in so many ways because there's nobody who's walked through deeper muck. And it was up to his shoulders while it was up to everybody else's waist. So,
I mean, they were saying that Bryce had some of the worst numbers of all time for a rookie quarterback.
He did.
I mean, yeah, like compared to Jamarcus Russell, Johnny Manziel. I mean, bad. You know?
I don't want to say that he was terrible as much as the performances were. There just wasn't any success. Right. You know, I mean, we can point to a million reasons why that success was difficult to find. It could be offensive line. It could be poor play, all of this. I mean, I think just saying he sucked is simplifying the conversation too much. But I mean, the success wasn't there. There was nothing to, and it wasn't just us fans saying it. I mean, the team, the organization, the rumors of trades, they weren't even denying trade rumors when they benched him. So, I mean, this is maybe one of the greatest turnaround stories that I can think of. Yeah. I mean, what if Bryce comes out and all of a sudden for the next 7 games, just like turns it on? Could he be comeback player of the year?
Oh, is that out of control? I don't know. Who would be comeback player of the year?
I think it's Sam Darnold right now.
Or J.K. Dobbins.
I don't know. He's got injured now.
Oh, did
he?
Again, it depends on how Bryce finishes this season. You know, and I'm assuming that we're going to have Jalen Coker come back. One of the things that's heartening, Tony, is that we've had this next man up mentality on our offense. You know, we've had games where Adam Thielen was out, Xavier Legette was out. You know, you started the year with Jonathan Mingo and Deontay Johnson. Both of them are no longer on the team. And yet guys are continuing to step up and make big-time plays for this team. Jatavian Sanders is another one of them who's been a big help in the passing department and a great weapon for Bryce. And, you know, we haven't even seen the dividends that Jonathan Brooks could pay one day, too. When
he had 2 carries in this game. He did have a 4-yard run. So, I mean, hey, success there. I think maybe that's the maybe a story we're not talking about enough, and that is that this momentum has been gained on the backs of young players. It's been gained on Coker, Legette, Chuba Hubbard, and in some ways is this momentum, and we're going to talk about this later, or maybe we can even just sneak it in right now, is come after the Deontay Johnson trade. And I was a big fan of Deontay Johnson and his play, and I thought he was out there balling and doing some stuff. And you saw Andy Dalton saying, "But you can beat everybody. You can beat everybody." But I wonder if there's a certain naivete to the young players that are like, we can shake this off a little bit, or maybe they don't have the funk of last season on them as much. Right. And we got some new leaders in Robert Hunt, who wasn't here last year.
Yeah, who's been a big part of this team. He's been a part of our personality, man. That road dog.
I would say he is the leader.
Yeah, he's definitely one of them. And listen, we've been showing off some of the power rankings over the course of the past couple weeks and how we sort of slowly started to move up. We are 28 in the ESPN power rankings, so we're down a couple spots. We were at 26. Dave Newton writes, as bad as the Panthers have been offensively for much of the season, they run the ball well. Don't be misled by them being ranked 24th in average yards per game. Running back Chuba Hubbard ranks 5th in the league with 876 rushing yards. He also has 7 rushing touchdowns, which is a big reason why Carolina ranks 10th in red zone efficiency. This is a dominant run team. We're able to run the football. And I love that that's our identity. Before the season, that's what Dave Canales said that we were going to be, that we were going to be a run-first football team, that we were going to be stubborn in our ability to run the football and in our insistence upon running the football. And, the fact that we've had Chuba become such a breakout star this year, I think that's a testament to the type of team that we want to be known as. Just road graders, man. Tough, put our nose down, go to work, and impose our will on opposing teams. And I think that we've been doing that to this point. Defense still leaves a little bit to be desired, but for the most part, this offense is now giving us a chance to win football games. And for as bad as it is, so is the defense also.
I think you have to be that type of team, period, to be successful in the NFL, right? I mean, the battle's won in the trenches. I don't think you ever go, oh, we don't want to be known as a tough team who can't impose our will and just finesse people. I think you maybe have the luxury of not having to be that if you are a team that's got like some sort of savant quarterback or something to that effect. But really, this is what you want any team to be, and this is what we needed this is what we've been longing for the Carolina Panthers to be. I don't know if it's just like, oh, we want running as our identity, but we wanted our players on the offensive line to finally be dogging other dudes and pancaking guys instead of getting pushed on their ass all the time. So look, I mean, we've been calling for them to build a wall since 2017, I feel like. And it looks like we finally got it. Thank you, Dan Morgan, for listening to our plea. And man, you add that if you can continue to strengthen that in the offseason by maybe continuing to develop Cade Mays at center or Brady Christensen as a swing tackle, and then add some depth in case you get hurt, boy, you'd make a 1-2 punch with Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks, and we might have some fireworks next year.
Yes, sir. Tony, you want to take a couple calls?
Sounds fantastic.
Let's do it. Yeah, go ahead, man.
The number's 252-228-5098. We'd love for you guys to get in the conversation. Let us know what you're thinking about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
I'm gonna unmute my mic.
My favorite holiday of the year. What's going on, guys? Happy almost Thanksgiving.
What up, Nick?
Holiday of the year. Time where you get to spend with all your loved ones, friends, family, whoever they may be. No expectations of gifts, just a whole lot of good food, a whole lot of good times, and a whole lot of football. Now, granted, we aren't playing on Thanksgiving Day, but our Panthers did give us a great Thanksgiving present. We were confident against the Chiefs, and that's all I can ask for, okay? I had my neighbor next door. He was convinced that the Panthers were going to win. And it's like, dude, I don't see it happening. Okay. But if it happens, I'm not going to be disappointed. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed with what I saw. Okay. The fact that we were that close at the end, I'm for it. Okay. The other thing is, too, I'm thankful to have all you guys. Okay. I get to listen to you guys a couple of times a week. You guys make my workday go by that much better. I always get to talk to you guys, and I'm always here for you guys too.
That
he
is.
Got to hear from Greg last week, which was fantastic, man. Sending my condolences, but dude, it was great to hear you again. And Tony, my brother, happy early Thanksgiving, bro.
Thank you, my man.
Guys,
That's my dude right here.
Hope you have a couple of beers for me, as I don't drink, but I'll have a couple of joints for you. You guys keep pounding and have yourself a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.
Oh man, I know he used to be a beer drinker, so
making some changes. At a boy,
a lot of people with the body transformation going down in C3 universe. So you guys keep it up. Watch what you eat, move your feet, enjoy your Thanksgiving. If you've been working hard to get some gains, have a little cheat day, but just watch your portion size a little bit and make sure you save a little room for the dessert so you don't have to overstuff your belly. Get out your head and get in the gym is what I say. Cody Lack will take another man. Nick, also just shout out to you, brother, man. Very important person in my life. I really can't tell you how much you mean to us in this panel and me personally. So happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Let's see what we got next.
Yes, sir.
To the charismatic CK, the tenacious Tony Dunn, and yes, sir, the incomparable Cody Lack.
What up?
What's going on, boys? This ain't nobody but your boy CP, the Vintage Retro Man, North Carolina's neighborhood hope dealer.
Let's go.
Thanksgiving week, baby. Still grateful, even though we lost to the Chiefs, man. I love the fight that our boys put up, man.
Yeah.
Feeling real good, you know what I'm saying? Out for a little walk, man. Watching the leaves continue to change, and just gratitude in my heart, man, for this podcast, man, for the C3 Legion. You know what I'm saying?
So
Love
awesome,
y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, got a quick question for you.
Come on with it, bro.
Want him. I was thinking, boys, we all know this dude been balling out.
Yeah.
And I thought about his contract. I think on the offseason he signed like a 2-year deal worth right around $12 million. My question is, do y'all think we should go ahead and try to sign one of them to a long-term deal? Do you think we should go ahead and try to extend them out? I'm just saying that premium pass rush price, man. I think about Brian Burns and that. I think it was 5 years, $30 million a year, something crazy, man, that he wanted. I'm just saying, do y'all think we should try to get ahead of this with one of them? Or do you think he hasn't shown enough? Because I know he just got back, but man, it's only been a couple games dude been in, but dude is balling. But anyway, man, just curious to see y'all thoughts, man. Happy Thanksgiving to the C3 Nation. Love y'all, man. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Right now it looks like it's a 2-year contract with 3 void years. 24, 2025. We get him next season for 5, 6, maybe $8.5 million. Only taking up $2.5 million on the cap this year. I think if anything, maybe you could this offseason consider extending it a year if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I want to see more of it. Before we make that determination. He hasn't necessarily been elite. He's been an improvement from what we've seen, and I think that's worth acknowledging. But I don't think there's a person in the NFL that would watch his game tape and think that he is worthy of a top contract in this league, even if he were to just start playing at a high level over the last 7 games of the season.
Well, but also think of it this way, too. The fact that he wasn't able to start for us, we're just now seeing what this guy is capable of. The year before with Minnesota, he had 9 sacks. So we know that he can be a consistent upper echelon sack getter in the NFL. And, the fact that he's played 2 games, and it's like since his presence, this defense has come alive. Like they have really been aggressive in all the right ways. And, I think that before the start of the season, Dan Morgan had this vision for what our defensive line would be. When you had Ashawn Robinson, Derek Brown, Shy Tuttle, Jadeveon Clowney, and DJ Wanham. And now you're starting to kind of see what that was supposed to look like. We don't have Derek Brown out there, but for the most part, this defense is really doing big things. They have been able to beat up Kansas City the way a lot of defenses haven't been able to this year. And I think that you have to give a lot of that love and a lot of that credit to DJ Wanham. The guy's an impact
this
player.
is going to get us dinged, by the way.
No, not the no, this doesn't get us dinged. No, because it's not NFL. This is Panthers film. This is not this was never on the broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. And if it does, I'll take the fall. But
it's all right. Interesting fact: DJ Wanham, 2 games, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 6 solo tackles. Brian Burns, 11 games, 6 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 28 tackles.
Yeah, and that's who we were supposed to pay $30 million a year to. Psych.
Yeah. Hey,
can we just talk about how bad it must feel to be Brian Burns right now?
To go from the worst team in the NFL to the worst team in the NFL?
Yeah, to somehow worse than we were last year.
Like
to a team that actually has more pieces in place than we did. And they've just let go their starting quarterback. And all of a sudden the Panthers quarterback is actually starting to look like the guy you would have hoped he was going to be when you drafted him. Like if you look at all the people, and this is all hyperbole, right? It's all looking at it from one game this season where we're like, oh my gosh, things are looking up for the Panthers. But like when you see that the 49ers are struggling right now, CMC's dealing with not having his quarterback out there, and that team just looking like absolutely, like I'm not going to say crap, but like not good. To DJ Moore going to a situation where allegedly, based on what Cody has told us, has been asking for a trade. To Brian Burns in the situation he's in. It's wild. All these pieces that we wish was still on the team are all dealing with having been in a worse situation. I'm just saying, like, maybe this offseason, we just push for those guys to be back on the team. I don't know. I'm just
Cody,
not going to happen. But
Deontay Johnson.
You want to talk about it now?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about all these guys that are struggling around the league, or after they've left Carolina, is Deontay Johnson tearing it up in Carolina on a 1-year or on a prove-it deal.
Yeah, this was his numbers. This was his best game with us. He had 8 receptions, 122 yards, 1 touchdown, and
he had 2 tutties in a game one time too.
Yeah. So Deontay Johnson went from being literally a number 1 option here in Carolina. He was the number 1 wide receiver. We literally said as much that he was looking like the number 1. We traded him away, and apparently there were rumors that he didn't want to be here, that he wanted out, right? And a lot of us at the time said, who can blame him? Well, Deontay Johnson, ever since going to Baltimore, not looking too pretty. 4 games, 3 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. He says, how does a player become washed mid-season? People are saying he fumbled the bag pretty heavy on this one. I mean, he really is like the 3rd or 4th option over there in Baltimore, and it's just not good for him, man.
Also interesting note about guys leaving Carolina and struggling. Jonathan Mingo out in Dallas in his debut. He had 4 targets, 0 receptions. I think that might have been in this last game. I'm not entirely sure.
No, this was the second game there. Okay. The first game was against the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, and they got shellacked.
Did he do anything in this last game?
I don't think so. If he did, I haven't been made aware of it.
All right. So, I mean, not to gloat or be petty, but to be petty, the Carolina Panthers trending in the right direction. Some of these guys not here for the ride. The number's 252-228-5098. We'll take another call.
Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope you boys are having a good Tuesday. It's Thanksgiving week. Just want to say happy Thanksgiving to all the people out there. Spend time with your family. Cherish these moments. Thank the Lord that we all get to live these beautiful lives. And I'm thankful for you guys as well, man. You guys are definitely like my third family, man. So I really appreciate it. Love you guys. Much love. Keep motherfucking pounding as always, no matter what situation you're in. On to the Carolina Panthers, man. That was one of the best games I've been to in a very long time. It had the adrenaline of that week one game when the Browns came in. It was an awesome game, awesome atmosphere. Definitely the best game I've probably seen Bryce Young play in person. The amount of big time throws, you really love to see it. I think, I criticized Dave. I didn't talk about this that much in my last call, but I criticized Dave Canales a lot for the benching. But it seemed like he definitely could have a plan. It just seemed like he didn't want to commit to him to just give it to Bryce Young. He wanted him to earn it. And I think Bryce Young, this could be the start of a solid NFL career. I really think it was a matter of his mental state was bad and the turmoil of last season. I think he just simply, sometimes quarterbacks get off to slow starts and sometimes quarterbacks get off to hot starts but can't replicate that level of success in their whole NFL career. So I just want to say shout out to Bryce Young. You went toe for toe with a top 5 quarterback ever. It was awesome to see. And, he threw he had like a 290 total yards, but the throws he was making were awesome. You love to see these young developmental draft picks playing out and turning, like JT Sanders. I know he got injured, but he just makes insane catch after insane catch. Great potential there. Leggett, he had that big drop, but he's been good for us. And then you're just looking at the scheme, like with a great offensive line and a quarterback with confidence, this team has a bright future. It really does. You just got to add, this is the best part, man. If Bryce continues to play like this, it just does a good service for everyone, including the Panthers front office, because if you're Dan Morgan and you have a top 5 pick per se, you can trade back. You can just take the best player available, whether that's defense, whether that's a receiver. That's the type of team you want to start seeing building. And there's definitely optimism here. I said in the beginning of the year, I wasn't expecting wins. I was expecting moral victories in game. This was a great example. So give me your thoughts. Keep motherfucking pounding. Happy Thanksgiving.
Calling night for me so far, Anthony. I agree with every single point. And some of these we've already touched on the show. I think the great point is building on the backs of some of these young players. From Coker to Jatavius Sanders to I would even count Chuba Hubbard as, I know he's a veteran, but he's still like a younger veteran player. But right. Xavier Leggett, like this is not built on the back of Adam Thielen, or even who we were just talking about in Deontay Sanders, or Johnson. Deontay Johnson.
Sanders Johnson.
I wonder if Deontay Johnson, I was trying to think about it, is like why some of the problems that, is that when you have that read option quarterback, you have a quarterback that can extend plays. I feel like Deontay Johnson's like a timing receiver.
Yeah.
And we've seen him get frustrated and, after he runs his route, if he doesn't get the ball, he's kind of like, yeah, and I wonder if in Baltimore, they're running the ball when they are passing it, sometimes these are kind of impromptu plays. And I don't know if he's going to thrive in that environment as much, but I love the call. And I agree entirely, Anthony, is that talk about the pressure this takes off a front office. This is really just needed, man. I'm sorry, is that if Bryce Young can just prove to be competent for 4 years for Carolina, There is nothing worse than missing on your first draft pick. And there's nothing worse than missing on your first draft pick that's a quarterback. And there is nothing worse than missing on your number 1 overall pick that's a quarterback that you traded a lot for. And so just for him to not be a miss, even if he is just okay, it gives the team an opportunity to step forward instead of spiraling back. We're taking 5-10 steps backwards and then having to climb the mountain again, aka the Browns, for the last 20 years.
I don't know that I don't know that we're ever going to be able to look at the trade and feel like it wasn't a mistake. But I can tell you this much: it's becoming a lot less painful over the past month. Seeing Bryce Young progress. I don't know. Again, I think I really think we're going to have a hard time unless he turns out to be an MVP candidate one year or something along those lines.
He starts for 8 years. Okay, I would say, you know what, it was worth it.
If he starts for 8 years, but we don't actually make any significant push into the playoffs, I would argue that that's not going to be the case. I think we would be looking at it as a loss. It's similar to the idea of trading for Deshaun Watson and not making it to the playoffs once with him under helm. That was always, if you didn't win a Super Bowl after trading what you did for Deshaun Watson, that was a bad trade. You lost that trade hands down because you gave away so much to go after a guy like that. And so it's not fair to Bryce, but from a Panthers perspective, if you're a Panthers fan and you're looking at it from the perspective of, what you gave up and what you're willing, or what you're going to, like, I don't ever think that we're going to look at Bryce as the reason we won games or won a championship. And that's like, if even if we won a Super Bowl, I don't think many of us are going to say it's because Bryce Young. If not 9 times out of 10, not going to be because he did something that was above and beyond. It's possible, but that's just not who we're seeing on the field right now. And so, or his, like, consistently, we'll see how that plays out. My hope is that he is that guy. But as of now, we've just got to play it by ear and see what we've seen. And I think that it's going to be hard for us to be able to make an argument that it was a good decision to go and draft Bryce as of right now. Now, that's, again, as I said, when I was making my choice of who I wanted to be drafted, which, by the way, was Bryce Young, I said I reserve the right to change my mind on that, and I still do. And this whole I told you nana nana boo boo type of BS that all of us fans want to try to get into, you're all just playing revisionist history at this point in time.
Yeah, and let's be honest. They say that there's no such thing as a moral victory. Shit, I'll be damned if there isn't. I mean, this is a moral victory. We had one of the best performances of this season against the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions. I don't know what more a lot of people could want, man. Most of us were not expecting to win that game. So to see his continued development, to see him willing to take a shot downfield when we know that earlier on he would have hesitated on some of those throws. To me, that is what is the most heartening, is that he's just more confident. He's feeling himself. The game planning is now complimenting him rather than hurting him. And I wanted to say this. I'm glad that we're kind of talking about all the details of this. I don't know if it's just me who've noticed this, but I feel like there is a much more concerted effort to put Bryce Young under center. Instead of having him in the shotgun all the time, it really does seem like most of his best plays came from play action under center. And I think
Can I also add this piece to it? Like all of the things that, one of the things that I dislike most is like when Bryce is playing not well, everybody wants to criticize his footwork and all that stuff. But guess what? He had the same footwork this past Sunday that he's always had, throwing the ball like almost like a jump pass. And right now people are watching the film and they're like, look how cool, like, look at this incredible throw that he's making on his tiptoes and all that. Like, we're all just like playing this game of like all these things. If there's something bad that he's doing and he's doing something different than anybody else, then all of a sudden we're we're pretending like that's the reason he's playing bad. But the moment he starts playing well, we're pretending that's the reason he's playing well. Like, let's just keep in mind, this is a week-to-week league, and Bryce Young right now, we can be excited about what he's done, but we also got to keep in mind that this is 1 week, and we've got to be able to take that with some grace and not. And luckily, nobody in the chat has been doing that, by the way. I was really expecting this week to have a lot of people just playing the card of, what happened last year after that Green Bay game. And I think a lot more Panthers fans have been, kind of receiving this performance with more grace than they did in the past few times that he's played well.
Yeah, man. So this is some of the best of the offense from PFF. Ja'Tavion Sanders yet again. And by the way, we can just go ahead and give the update now. He was released from the hospital, Ja'Tavion Sanders. We don't know when he'll be back, but thankfully he's healthy, moving around. And but yeah, man, listen, Bryce Young with an 83.93. David Moore with a fantastic performance. He was the number one wide receiver. Devin Tompkins and Taylor Moton. Bryce Young with the 83.9 overall offensive grade now stands as a career high. He completed 21 of his 35 throws for a season best 263 yards and a touchdown. And you know what? I got some all 22 just to show y'all how impressive our boy has been. And again, you'll notice some of the, these under center plays that I was talking about. Great touch on the football.
And look at the jump pass.
Yeah. I mean, that's his style, man. We're going to have to get used to the way he plays.
Another one.
Yeah.
That's how he throws it.
He never plants his back foot on the ground when he throws. Look, right now, before the ball is out, his heel is off the ground. I know generally that is not how you're taught to throw that way. But, dude, if you're making it work the way that you make it work, dude, that's all we ask. Put the football in the right spot at the right time. And that is what he has been doing.
That was this the most traditional throw.
Yeah,
right
this
there.
is the one to Xavier Liga and Bryce Young, or Xavier rather, said that he texted Bryce, hey man, you can't throw a better ball than that. And that's on me. I have to catch that ball. And then Bryce Young texts him back, I believe in you. That's what we need. But look at this throw, man. Right in the bucket. And you're right, Tony. This should have been another 30-yard reception. I mean, you couldn't have walked downfield
and handed
that ball to him any better.
You're right.
Just a perfect touch pass. Now, this is the zip on this touchdown throw. If I'm
This is that Tommy Trimble one in the back, right? Oh, no, this is David Moore. That was a great throw, by the way. It's just like that's a really difficult catch to make, but that was a great throw.
Look at that.
And there's there's pressure all around him. And it got
How did
hit,
he make that?
And he still throws a fairly decent ball.
No, that was a perfect ball.
Well, man, he just
it was a little. It was a little.
No, if you look at the coverage on that was the best possible ball you could have asked for on that throw. Watch the coverage. There are two guys underneath. That was the only place you're putting that where nobody else is getting their hands on it. Look at that.
Right. I mean, it was still out of the back of the end zone, though. There was not really a play.
I mean, at least it's not picked.
Yeah.
Let's see what CK is saying. I still can't believe. Right. Look at how he's getting.
It wasn't intercepted.
Crushed, dude.
Yeah. Play that one more time.
I mean, just absolutely. Look,
I want to watch that Tommy Trimble one that he threw. That should have been
throwing the ball and getting hit.
First half.
Yeah. And by the way, as we're gonna see here in a second, Robert
I think this
Hunt,
was first quarter. Maybe.
Robert Hunt, believe it or not, did not have a good game. He had,
really?
He gave up 5 pressures.
Okay.
And you can see it here.
Is that pressures under blitz though? Because I like they blitzed a lot during this game.
I don't know. So this is Hunt right here. And yeah, he pretty much. That's Jones. He'll do it to you.
But you also, if you watch some of those,
leveled.
if you watch,
Bryce gets hit.
I know.
If you watch the quarterback school do his review on this one, like he was talking about Chris Young or Chris Jones was having a rough game this go round too. He was talking about how There were a few times where you look like the dude. He's directly going to be there's the 2-point conversion that tied the game up is directly going to fall on Chris Jones making a mistake. One of the other, I think the touchdown pass to I don't know if it was it might have been that one. I can't remember, but it just looked like Chris Jones was not even putting any effort in whatsoever. And I think he was going up against
gassed at one point.
Yeah. So this is the throw to Tommy Tremble that should have been a touchdown. Tommy Tremble needs to catch this.
Look at this throw, dude.
This is a great throw, and the pocket was good enough for him to deliver the ball.
And
I mean, just hit him right in his back pocket.
Icky was in his back pocket right there.
Yeah, just right.
I mean,
right
it's a bang play. It's tough. It's a tough catch, but you got to. I mean, players got to make plays.
Just like when you watch Greg Olsen caught those, right? Jatavian Sanders has been catching, pretty much everything thrown his way, and it just feels like there's a few select players that consistently are just not able to haul those balls in. And unfortunately, I've been one that wanted Tommy Tremble to work out, but he has not been able to perform when the game was on the line. There's been multiple times where he's just dropped the ball or just not been able to find himself open when he's needed to be open. It's just, I don't know. I really want him to, because I think that he had a lot of potential, but I think we have to move on from Tommy Tremble at the end of this year, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know. If he's a free agent, if he's willing to come back on that Ian Thomas deal, how Ian Thomas has been coming back for these sort of very team-friendly deals. If he's willing to do that, I would love to have him back. But look at this throw, man. This is another one that was dropped, but just absurd ball placement, man. And when you hear people saying this is Alabama Bryce, this is literally the types of plays that he was making left and right at Alabama. Oh, right in the bread basket, man.
The greatest part about that is not the throw, it's the decision. Go back to it. Just go back to it. Look, go back 10 seconds or to the snap. There's no let's look around 20 times. He sees man coverage. He knows that guy's getting outside leverage, and he goes with it.
Yeah.
And I tell you, this is, you can go back if y'all jerks want to do the receipts. Go back to Bryce Young's preseason game. And while everybody's jumping up and down, how we went, 6 for 7, and we got something.
Right.
I told you, and I said this, and I was the only person, I got a lot of flack for saying it, is that I wanted him to be more decisive, to grip it and rip it, to trust his instincts, to drop back. That's the damn play. He's not saying I got to go through all my reads just to go through them. When it's there, take it. And that's what, maybe he saw Andy Dalton doing that a little bit.
Yeah, dude. So,
boom.
Yeah, that was
that's
perfect.
The play right there. There's no hesitation.
Yeah, this is the touchdown throw to David Moore. Just zips it right in the tight window, right where only his receiver can get it. Yeah, just on the money. Now, look, by the way, on this play, Chris Jones jumped the snap, and they never called a flag for it either. But look at Chris Jones. Look, he's the first dude off the ball by a fucking mile.
He was lined up. He was actually lined up off sides on that one.
Well, you know what is
Bryce
this might be the first game that the damn Chiefs didn't get every flag in the history of the world. Somebody said that the script for the Chiefs this year is to be in close games so they can be gritty when they make it to the Super Bowl. Shout out to Kelly Dwight Fields. I for the $4.99 C3 bomb. I would suggest that during the offseason, Bryce should bulk up some for next year.
Can you pull up the picture of him with Mahomes shaking hands? Because to me, and it could be just the angle, he doesn't look that much different as far as size comparison to Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick has probably got a good 20 pounds on him at least.
Well, I mean, outside of the bulkiness, I'm talking about from the height aspect of things. Yeah, pull that one up.
How do we find it? Just Googled it. Not in
I don't know.
Google.
I feel like it was in one of our C3 Legion chat, maybe. Let me go back and see if I can find it.
All right. While you do that, you guys want to take another call?
Yeah, let's do it.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? G Cavassier. Hey man, we got Tampa come Sunday. And call me crazy, whatever. I can see us beating Tampa. And the reason for that, you remember that Atlanta Falcons and Tampa game? It seems to me Tampa's defense is not as good as it used to be. I ain't saying they don't got D. I ain't saying they don't got defense at all, because you see what they did against the Giants, but let's be honest, it was the fucking Giants, okay?
With Tommy DeVito.
I see us beating them. And I see Chuba and good old Brooks running that damn rock. And the way I think of it, if Bryce plays the way that he played the last game against the damn defending Super Bowl champs, honestly, I don't see nobody beating us. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be cocky or anything like that. But if that front line puts pressure on remaining quarterbacks, I'm telling you, man, we can do this. If anything, go in there the playoffs with a fucking wild card. And another thing I was thinking, thinking like a motherfucker. You guys think that Bryce should have came back after that Raiders game? You know, Andy Dalton did his thing against, the Raiders. But you think we would have had more wins if Bryce would have started the game after that, like when we faced Chicago and Denver? You know what I'm saying? Even though we lost and everything like that, you think if Bryce Young was starting, we would have won them games. But anyway, keep pounding, y'all. Give me your thoughts on that. But I see us beating damn Tampa. Keep pounding.
Kelly said, CK, that she noticed that too at the end of the game, talking about Bryce and Patrick Mahomes. I think, G, that the timing of this is arguably just what it needed to be. I don't think that the Panthers really were a better team at that point. Somehow the Panthers have gritted together, have grown together through some adversity. And I think a little bit of that boost from Andy Dalton kept them, they were getting cramps and they're treading water out in the ocean. And the lifeboat ain't there yet, or the rescue boat isn't there yet. So I don't know. I think this was the timing right now, just so we're seeing this team improve from week to week finally, rather than, I don't know if it was after week 1 or week 2 when they asked Dave Canales, maybe it was week 1, and they were like, look, we knew there were some things that we were going to have to work on. We didn't know everything would be a thing.
Yeah.
And so, look, is like whatever it is, it's better now. I'm not ready to say playoff run just yet. But, I mean, look, you play this way every week, and you're in these games at the very minimum against the teams we face throughout the end of the season. I think we got to play the Eagles still.
Yeah, we gotta play Philly. That's probably
we ain't gonna have nothing on them. Did you know?
Well, but okay, but hold on. Hold on.
Fucking yards, dude, or some shit like that.
Saquon Barkley is fucking balling out of control. There's no other way around.
Destroy the Panthers' run defense, dude. It is a wrap.
So, and I think that
there's no way we beat the Eagles.
You can make the argument that the Eagles have a better run game than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, you can. You can't make them. It's just a fact, bro.
A lot of people are saying that, how there's always been the narrative that you don't pay running backs. Well, all the running backs that change locations, like Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, they're all playing for teams that are at the top.
They're also on good teams.
Yeah, but also the teams that didn't pay their running backs, they're all sitting there with a losing record.
But they're also bad teams. So it's not like if Derrick Henry was on the Titans, they would still be terrible. If Saquon was on the Giants, they'd still be terrible.
If we can make it close with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not going to sit here and say we can't make it close with Philadelphia. I think they're a team.
We don't match up well against them.
I don't think we're going to get destroyed. I think that it's going to be another one of these performances that's like, okay, we belong with them. And if we're able to do that, then I'm happy. Again, these moral victories. None of us felt like we were going to be playing for a playoff spot this year anyway. So you're just looking for this incremental growth in areas where you can notice a clear step forward in the talent from last year to this year. Now we're looking at 2025 and potentially being a year where we might be able to contend. One of the reasons for Bryce playing so well, even though he did get shellacked on a couple of those plays that we showed, is this right here, man, this offensive line. The Panthers have 5 offensive linemen ranked in the top 20 amongst their positions in pass protection. Cade Mays is 4th among centers. Austin Corbett was 19th among centers. Taylor Moton, 17th amongst tackles. Damian Lewis, 17th amongst guards. And Chandler Zavala only started 1 game, but 5th. How the hell is Robert Hunt not on here? Like, yeah, he might have had a bad game against Chris Jones, but the dude has been a beast, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's been the best on the team, in my opinion.
He really has. The dude's an absolute dog, man. But yeah, moving forward. So this is Xavier, the guy that I was telling you about this earlier. XL, and we'll talk about his growth a little bit. Xavier Leggett still beating himself up about dropping a deep throw from Bryce Young last night. Texted him last night to tell him how the throw doesn't get any better than that. Says Young texting him back saying, "I believe in you." What do we think about?
Skip 3 comments down to
this
Great Wall of Carolina comment of the night.
Yeah, shout out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great Wall of Carolina. I love that.
My Tigers are still going to beat your Gamecocks, though, bro. But you're still cool people over here. We love you, bro. But yeah, man, let's I have some clips of Xavier. One of them that you sent me, Tony. And we're talking about his development. He's had some problems with drops. We can't lie about it. It is what it is. But what do you make of his development thus far? And I have some clips of him running some routes.
For me, is he's been good enough for a first round wide receiver. You know, you don't
late
put
first round wide receiver. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to put too high of expectations on a player, but I expect him to be good. You know, the Panthers trade up into the 32nd, but still I expect him to be good. Now, is he having some sort of super impressive year? Not really. But like, he's physical. He's caught some touchdowns. He's stepped into an important role on the team. He's moved a couple, today. I think this past week's first time he played the X. I think for me is his personality and his drive and his enthusiasm for football is the most impressive part to me. Like, he wants to. You remember how tough he was on himself after the preseason game?
Yeah.
He has been tough on himself. And so, look. I don't know if they got tripped up, if there was some feet there.
I mean, he stopped on a dime and put the move. Let me see. Boom. So he stops right here. No, I don't think that was feet. I think he's just fucking biffed.
So look, is this is what you want to see from a rookie player.
This one's
too.
Crazy.
Oh,
yeah. Just like immediate, like 4 yards of separation just because of that. And look how quick he just goes right around him. Like it's once he can put together everything, and once Bryce Young can feel like he can rely on him forever, like that dude's gonna get so many looks.
Yeah, I mean, you could see some real potential to be a fucking baller, bro. We can't see this one.
He's
Can't
at the
see
very
what.
top. He's at the very top.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, look, he's out there trying to get better. I like it. So happy. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
His attitude, like he's like a youthful enthusiasm about being a player that wants to get better. And I like that.
The ball get off and how they get off the line of scrimmage is night and day different versus what Jonathan Mingo was doing.
Or what's the guy last year that I wanted to be so good?
DJ Chark.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the opposite.
But you see that explosive ability.
Oh, he said show the block. I don't know if we have the block in this clip.
We don't.
Oh, that block on that Adam Thielen play?
If somebody has it, send it to my Twitter, but I do not have that. Yeah.
All right, you want to take another call?
Let's do it.
Yo, what's up, boys? C3 Panther Nation. What's going on? It's Preston from Hickory.
What's up, Preston?
Just, calling, do a little venting. Is it just me, or does being a Panther fan feel a little different? Like, I feel like a month ago, hell, not even a month ago, we were a little down in the dumps.
A little.
Like, here goes another damn season wasted. Here goes, we're going to have to maybe pick a quarterback in the draft. Maybe, what are we going to do? You know what? Now it's a whole different feel, man. The hope is back. You know what I mean? The hope is back.
The hopium.
Like,
we've had a dealer that's kept this
don't get me
alive.
wrong, I'm not hopeful that we're going to make it to the playoffs or anything. Like, that's far-fetched. I mean, we're 3-8 for God's sake. I don't know if that's going to happen. But like I said in my last call, man, I'm hopeful for the future. Like, the future seems very bright in Carolina Panthers football. I mean, hell, looking at the schedule a month ago, we see the Bucks on the schedule. I'm stressing like, oh man, we got Baker coming into town with Mike Evans. I mean, they got a decent defense, man. I mean, I'm stressing. There goes another loss. Now, with the way Bryce has been playing, man, the hope is back, man. And it was like CK said on the last pod after the game. You look at his demeanor. You look at Bryce's demeanor and his poise going into that second half. That first drive of that second half, man, he was cool as a cucumber. Man, I just think we got hope now. Don't be hopeful for the playoffs. That's far-fetched. But we ain't got to stress about what the fuck we're going to get in the draft. We know it needs to be defense. We know we ain't got to worry about a fucking quarterback.
Yes,
That's
sir.
the main thing. So, let me know your thoughts on that, boys. Like I said, the hope is back. I mean, we're coming down off that high of after that moral victory we got last week. So let me know your thoughts on that, boys. Keep pounding. And I believe we got to win. We got the Bucks coming into the vault. I think we got to win. So let me know your thoughts on that, boys. Keep pounding, baby. Keep
Great call. Love when people call it the vault. Wish we could get that as a better thing. I think they say that in Madden sometimes.
I said that on the postgame show. That's why this game was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Because just like how last offseason was painfully obvious what you had to do and build around Bryce Young and build on this offense. Well, now that Bryce Young has shown you that he can make plays like that, hopefully he can continue to do it. If that's going to be the case, it makes your next offseason so freaking easy, man. You know that you need a free agency and a draft filled with defensive players. And now they get to really hone in on what players that's going to be, like they did this past season with Hunt and Lewis.
Well, that and you don't feel like you have to hit the reset button in such a major way, right?
Yeah,
when you're having to replace a quarterback it feels like you're miles away because you just never know if you're going to have a quarterback that actually is going to be anything worth their weight in, whatever, right? And so it's at this point in time, I mean, like there's hope. It's a different feeling because it doesn't feel like we're starting from scratch anymore. And even if we do end up with a top 10 pick, it doesn't feel, I feel like we feel way better about having a top 10 pick than any other team that's going to be in the top 10 this year. I that's just the way I feel about it. I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic, and I don't know that I felt that way outside. I mean, we came into the offseason feeling a little bit hopeful because we were thinking that Bryce, was going to be able to show what he's able to do, but that ended pretty abruptly. And to have the season end on a high note is more than you couldn't ask for anything better right now.
Young is Kyle Kennard. Is that defensive end from South Carolina? That dude's a baller, bro. To the caller, I don't even know if it's hope that we have necessarily now. It's just the absence of complete and utter despair.
Yeah.
You look at what Final Boss said after the Chicago game and then the Washington game. I mean, there was nothing that there was nothing to even just want to watch to the point where he said he thought the team had quit.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, yeah, I think the hope now is that Bryce isn't a failure. The hope is that he can, at the very minimum, be something before he is nothing. But just the absence of despair.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even want to watch the games. I haven't been, I've got other.
Remember when we were trying to get people to watch the game for us?
Yes.
And then get us to react and having not watched it?
Yeah, I wanted to do a non-watch party.
That was a month ago, guys.
It was like 3 weeks ago.
That's absurd, man.
Oh man.
Yeah. All right. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's see what we got next. A couple more calls.
Yo, what's good, C3? It's JD, young
What's up,
son
JD?
who come. Been a little minute since I called in, shared my opinion, try to keep it
What's up,
brief.
JD?
But yeah, this past Sunday, the game, Bryce dots, whatever you want to call them, ice in his veins, looking the blitz on and just torching. Arguably I don't even think there's an argument to be made. One of the better defenses in the league. So for me, I'm trying my hardest to keep the excitement and the expectations within reason. But considering how Bryce, like from the Broncos game up to the one that just played this past Sunday, he's gotten better. Clearly, Canales' confidence in him, the play calling, got a crap ton better.
Right.
I know you guys probably already touched on it. If they're able to convert any of those red zone attempts, the field goals, if they're able to convert any of those into touchdowns, we win. And if they convert all of them into touchdowns, we win by a lot. That was extremely beautiful to watch. And the only thing that made that, like, losing the game sucks. So I don't want to see us go out there this Sunday and look anything like what we did the previous 10 weeks. That's what I expect to see out of this team, and I will be sorely disappointed if Bryce regresses. The thing that gives me hope and belief that he's not going to is that it was a week by week progression. You saw him getting better. Like, the man looked like if I removed your knowledge of NFL teams and records and their history, and you watch that game purely like the first, you're watching that game as if it was the first one you ever watched, you would think, these are two of the best quarterbacks in the league. And to even say that about Bryce after, like I said it in the chat, Bryce kept pounding. He put his head down and he kept pounding. Like, if you can't get behind Bryce after everything, his rookie season, and I hope that it would happen. I hope that it would happen, and it's happening. After the rookie season, being benched after the first 2 games of the season, clearly being shell-shocked, confidence gone.
I hope that he will be able to come back from it. And I'd be damned if home run look like he's about to come back with a fucking vengeance. And it's a beautiful thing to see, right? Beautiful thing to see, man. Last thing, Cody, I'm going to apologize right now for what South Carolina's about to do to Clemson.
No, I know that.
I truly do apologize
I'm
for what they're
cheering
about
for
to do.
South Carolina in this
All
game.
joking aside, y'all enjoy Thanksgiving. Have not just a great day, a great life. I don't want that to sound weird. You know, I know it sounds weird. All the same. Keep sounding, man. Keep sounding.
What day is the game?
This Saturday, man. This is going to be the most stakes that have been on the line for Clemson and USC Junior for a long time. Because, you know, normally the Tigers have already clinched up the ACC. The Gamecocks aren't playing for nothing normally. But now we're both right on the outside of the playoffs. And we both need this we need this big time W in the Palmetto Bowl. But I don't know if y'all know this, but tigers eat chickens. You've never seen a chicken eat a tiger, baby. All in, let's go. Dabo's little sons over there. Let's go.
Okay. I love their quarterback. It reminds me of Cam in South Carolina. And that Kennard guy is really awesome on the defensive line. Let's take another call.
Hey guys, think of it this way: we're talking about Bryce Young being a comparable. Don't get over here. A comparable quarterback. Well, say if he does throw for just 200 yards a game in an 18-game season, let's see, that's 3,600 yards a year. And say he has 10 years in the NFL, it's 40,000-yard quarterback. And if he has 2 touchdowns, that's 36 in a year. Just 2 touchdowns a game passing, right? There's 18 and 2. Yeah, that's 36. And then 17. In 10 years, he says 360 touchdowns. That's some pretty good numbers.
Way to extrapolate those numbers based off of one game.
What do you think about that? If he makes it to 4 years with this team and he's got us on sort of a winning streak, or he's a competent quarterback like you guys are saying, why would we need another quarterback? If he throws 200 yards a game and 2 touchdowns a game, because he's going to get better. He's going to mature. He's going to get a little bit stronger as he ages. I mean, that's just a fact. He's going to get stronger. The arm's going to get stronger. It can. The lifting weights and repetition. So, I mean, that's happened before. But
this man's on the hopium.
Some of the other problems that he has in the pocket, I think one of his passes on next-gen stats, it was out at 1.7 seconds. That's the fastest I've ever seen the ball come out of somebody's arm. I mean, come out of their hand and get released. That's pretty quick. And he had good pocket presence. I thought he did. I didn't see his feet dancing. But our defense, bro, aside from a few, I say the same thing in the draft. Do not go after a quarterback. Trade back. Collect some – get over here, dog. Collect some defensive players. A couple more front linemen or D linemen, some middle linebackers, and go back to the 4-3. Get rid of Ivero too.
Yeah.
So those are some of my thoughts. But if you work them stats out, and I'm sure Strats is in there somewhere, could end up strapulating those out. Man, that's a pretty decent quarterback over a 10-year period. So, you know,
I would say
you look at it and say, why ain't he throwing 300 yards a game? He doesn't need to. He just needs to make good plays, good throws, no picks. So, anyway. Oh, by the way, Scott from Winston. I see Greg the other day. Thank you for taking my call, and keep pounding.
Scott, let me just do this real quick while we love the enthusiasm, the optimism. You could take Bryce Young's first game of the season and go 161-yard passing times 17 games times 10 years like you did. And he could be a 27,000-yard passer. And he could also have, if you did that and you extrapolated that, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 17 times 2 times 10. He could have 0 touchdowns and 17 times 2 times 10, 340 interceptions. So hey, look, I'll take your math better than my math. But not everybody had a good game. Tommy Tremble was poorly rated. Jonathan Brooks, why are they going to give him bad? He had 2 carries.
Yeah, 2 carries.
Jerk ass.
And dude, I swear PFF has a hate boner for Brady Christensen because every single game that he plays, he does okay enough. And they say that he's one of the worst graded. I think they've got a bias. But Robert Hunt also didn't look good. Like I said, he gave up 5 pressures. Hunt finished with a season low overall offensive grade and a career low pass blocking grade of 13.3. He was charged with the team high 5 pressures. So again, we have things that we need to clean up. But for the most part, outside of Robert Hunt, most of these guys are not the dependables. They're not guys that you're outright depending on play in and play out. So this is what we were talking about earlier. The best of this defense, man. Jadeveon Clowney ranked out at 81.32. DJ Wanham 75.63. Josie Jewell continuing to be impressive. We need to give Josie his props a little more vocally because I feel like Josie has also been playing really good football. A couple key takeaways 2 games ago, and then almost had a couple against the Chiefs. Clowney had his best showing as a Panther, recording 1.5 sacks and 7 total pressures, and Wanham, after a strong debut in Week 10, notched 3 pressures. Boys, how about these sacks that the Panthers are getting, man? I mean, 5 sacks. Dude, what has been the turnaround behind this defense, Tony? Because just a few weeks ago, you and I were saying that this is the best offensive line that we've ever seen, but maybe the worst defensive line that we've ever seen on the Carolina Panthers. Is it just DJ Wanham? CK, I know we kind of mentioned this too, but what is it that you contribute to this defense really turning it on in the way that it has?
To me, the answer is not just DJ Wanham, but like you got Josie Jewell. You got, you got Clowney after a bye week. It's like we got Ashawn Robinson is playing. Is that I don't think all of a sudden they're good. It's just that let me see. Trying to figure out defensive stats, tackle scoring. Where is defense? Sacks. We're still, is before this game, we only had 12 sacks on the season. We are second worst in the NFL with sacks. Interestingly, the Falcons only have 10 sacks this season. I don't know. I don't think it's a resurgence. I don't think it's anything crazy. I think we had a good game. I think that when your offense plays better, it allows your defense to play a little different. More passing. The other thing is teams haven't just been in a running situation against us where they just run over us. Can't sack the ball when the teams can't sack the quarterback when they're running the ball all the time. So I just think, hey, we had a really good game. I'm not really, was jumping up and down about it.
I agree. It's not one of these things where I didn't look at the defense this time and say, I still think that he was as I said on the post game, I still think there is an incredibly, it's a big question mark. And the benefit, the only thing that I think it goes for us in this case is they didn't really even try to run the ball all that often against us, which I think is where they probably lost more of the momentum than anything else. Because if they were running the ball, I think that they would have blown this out. I really do, just because we have not been able to stop the run. Luckily, they did not have Pacheco back either. So I think that there were just so many passing downs that they were able to get home on. And honestly, if you ask me, I think the main thing was that our corners and our secondary was covering the heck out of their receivers. And I think majority of those sacks were coming from coverage sacks or from the blitz, like for instance with the horn sack.
Right. All right, let's take another call.
Oh man, what's up, my man Cody? And I got the two guys too. You know who it is? It's Hood Mickey again.
Sounds like
I
the
said,
dude from the
I
Muppets.
think Bryce Young is one hell of a player. And I see what they're arguing too. You know, a lot of things. And, you know, I think if they give it up, so everybody will be able to go to Disney World. And that Dave Jackson, that nigga's trash. He's so motherfucking trash. He's so trash, he reminds me of Phil Worley. He sucks. Yep. But with that being said, it's Hood Mickey. I hope Bryce Young has another good game.
This Mickey? Is that who's trying to be?
It's Hood Mickey.
Hood Mickey.
What the hell?
He's a fool, and don't I know?
Hood Mickey.
What in the world was that?
I have no idea. I didn't even catch 90% of what he said.
All right, next call.
That was hilarious.
Hey, C3, this is Stonewall. The biggest difference in this team is Dave Canales. And this team is starting to shape up the way he wants it. Talk to you. Keep pounding.
Oh man, Dave Canales. You know, another thing is like I know that you people have said no such things as moral victory. I don't even call it a moral victory. I thought it was a victory for Bryce Young. And I think this is a victory for Dave Canales as this team progresses. You know, as a team that was a dumpster fire just 4 weeks ago, now is looking to just say, man, I won't say the season, but like is that the future isn't bleak entirely or destined to be a failure. Final call of the night right here.
Panther family, how you doing, man? It's your boy Suave, the Smooth Coat.
What's up, Suave?
Just want to call in, man. I think the Bryce Young that we're looking at is Alabama Bryce, man. And if you can keep that up, I feel like we're gonna be good for years to come. And I think we already got our quarterback. I just think in the draft they need to worry about nothing but defense, all defense. And do you guys think maybe we might need a new defensive head coach? I don't know, probably bring Wilkes back or something. Like, cause the defense, I feel like it just needs a little tune-up. You know, not much of a tune-up, but a little tune-up. Yeah. But other than that, man, yeah, y'all have a blessed night, man. Keep pounding.
Have a blessed one, brother. I mean, look, dude, like with this team right now, I think it's going to benefit from going to a 3-4 to a 4-3. I think one of the reasons why we've had a hard time stopping the run, CK, for the past couple of years is because of that 3-4. And I don't mean that as a cop-out answer. I don't think that running a 3-4 defense automatically means that you can't stop the run. But I just feel like, I don't know what it is, man. I feel like this 3-4 defense for the Panthers is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Like it doesn't fit us. And that being said, listen, I do think that even though this defense has looked a little more resilient in the past couple of weeks, they've also given up a lot, but you know, they've looked more resilient. But we've talked about this on the free-for-all. I know. I feel like this is probably the last stop for Jero Rivero as our defensive coordinator.
Sure.
And I think that we're probably going to look to move on and get somebody else. I know the dream for me and for a lot of other Panther fans is Robert Saleh, somebody else who also has a lot of connections and time spent with Dave Canales and their time in Seattle. I think that would be a fantastic fit for our personnel, for what we do, for what we want to do. So, Suave, to answer your question, I do think that we are going to have a brand new defensive coordinator at the end of this year. And fingers crossed, I'm hoping it's Robert Saleh and that Dan Morgan can pull some strings and get Robert over here.
I think we got Ghetto Mickey back again.
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys couldn't hear what I was saying? Oh, let me say it. Let me literally do it again. My name is Hood Mickey Mouse.
Hood.
And I was saying that I think Bryce Young is, from what we looked at today, he's looking like he's our franchise quarterback. And I was saying Dane Jackson, he's trash. He reminds me of
we got
Phil
that.
Worley.
Dane Jackson is trash.
Have a good night. And hopefully we can get to the Super Bowl and
Have a good time. 2023.
All right, thank you. Somebody said, "Is that G baby?"
Yo, how about Marquis Haynes just followed me on Twitter?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was just now. That's cool.
Get him
What's
on the
up?
show.
Shout out Marquis. Yeah.
All right, let's power through the show, dude, and let's get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Bucks
Jumping
left?
back. No, we don't have too much left. So 5 sacks. So this is the worst of the defense that we've had. Trevor Wallace, they said, didn't have a good game at 51.
Look at JC Horn. I mean,
that was my towel of shame pick on Sunday. I felt like D Hop kind of cooked him. But Clemson wide receiver on South Carolina DB will produce those results.
Zing.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we need some better defensive performances. Horn, let me put this down. Shit, too many banners. They said that Horn's 28.9 overall defensive grade and 27.7 coverage grade were by far the worst of his 4-year career. He allowed 8 catches for 83 yards on 8 targets and was flagged 4 times. So a rough one by JC. Didn't have the best performance. But again, dude, if you're able to get another corner.
Sign him after this game. He's cheaper.
Yeah, right. Really.
Yeah. Get that $5 million discount.
Yeah.
So earlier on, we said that Jatavion Sanders avoided a serious injury. This is per Dave Canales. It was a neck injury, and they're working through the evaluation of the injury. He's in the building, or at least was. So, yeah, man, hopefully Jatavion Sanders can come back healthy, and hopefully we'll see him again this year. I would hate it if that was the last time that we saw him in his rookie year. That would be really disappointing. All right, how about this? Let's move away from current Carolina Panthers, and let's talk about how our boys, Luke Kuechly and Steve Smith, have an opportunity to join the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the same year. Both of them are Hall of Fame semifinalists. Boys, is this the year that Smitty gets in? And is Luke Kuechly a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I don't know. Luke's 8 years on the field were dominant. He's the best, arguably the best linebacker in those entire years. Other than, some people will say Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's still playing, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if the length of his career makes him a first ballot, but he was Pro Bowl, All-Pro, like every single one of those years. Defensive Rookie of the Year, defensive player, he had all the accolades. So the only reason he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer is just maybe longevity of his career. I'm sad that some people still don't think that, or not some Panther fans, but I guess the larger Hall of Fame voting world doesn't feel like Smitty is a done deal to the Hall of Fame. I feel like, there was a lot of receivers. There's only so many spots last year. But Smitty's numbers are comparable to Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson went in first ballot last year.
And for Luke, Patrick Willis got into the Hall of Fame, who also didn't play, I don't think, as long as Luke did.
I saw Darren Gant lobbying for Steve Smith, and he mentioned that Steve Smith was on a primarily run first team with no quarterback all those years and a Triple Crown winner. And he put up those numbers. To me, I think Smitty deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he deserves to go in this year. And I think there's a possibility that he doesn't, which is sad to me. Luke, I think, should be a first ballot. I just don't know if it's going to happen. CK, your thoughts?
Man, my question is more of, if Luke gets in and Smitty doesn't, is that a slight? Is that disrespectful to Smitty at that point?
Man.
Are they going to put 2 Carolina players in the same year?
Yeah, they're definitely not putting both in.
You don't think so?
No.
That's
I mean, it would be a really cool
politics in this, man.
That would be absolutely insane if they did. I think Luke would get the shaft over just because of the pedigree that Smith has. I think Luke being, I just don't think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I would like Luke. I mean, I would love to see them both go in the same year. That'd be awesome.
Right. I'm gonna call my shot. I said that they both get in.
Nice. I'm hoping for that.
That would be a great offseason for Panthers fans.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll be pissed if Luke doesn't get in.
Tell me you wouldn't want to travel to Canton to actually be there for that induction.
Oh, that would be insane. I have
a friend that goes every year.
And to have those two guys together going in at the same time and what they mean to this team, yeah, that would be
CK, if they both go in, we're doing that.
I think we have to, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's going to be another team that has that type of
representation.
Representation.
Or if we ever get a or just the fact, I mean, it's almost worth it if one of them goes in. It would almost have been worth, I mean, and maybe my life will be settled enough to where we can just do that.
Dude, well, think about it this way. That means 3 years in a row we'll have a Panther going into the Hall of Fame.
3?
Yeah.
Who? Well, I know we had Pep. Who was
Sam Mills?
Oh, Sam Mills, yeah.
Was the year before.
That's right.
Wow, good point. Good point.
Maybe this is where you want Luke to be a second ballot. Then you get 4 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we already did that. Back to worst haircut, dude. Best kicker.
The most accurate kicker that the NFL has ever known in all of its 100 plus years.
What hurt? What is wrong with this dude?
He's got a knee issue. He's going to have surgery at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. Well, way to get out there and be there for your teammates, Eddie Pinheiro. Hey, it's nice to have a kicker that's making kicks.
Amen.
Anything else? What's next?
Next up on the docket. So this is just previewing the matchup with Tampa Bay, and I guess this is where we can make our picks. So this is the spread and the money line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Carolina Panthers play Sunday, December 1st at Carolina's Bank of America Stadium. The Buccaneers are a 6-point favorite over the Panthers in NFL Week 13 odds for the game, courtesy of BetMGM Sportsbook. Tampa Bay is minus 275 on the money line, while Carolina is plus 210. The over-under point total is set at 46.5 points.
Man, I'm kind of interested in taking Panthers on the
dude,
money line.
I was literally about to tell you guys I'd be hammering that money line right now.
Baker's
Baker and that offense are a problem. Or Baker is a problem. I think was that Bucky Irvin dude had some pretty good game against the Giants. Baker has just been on fire. Now you get Mike Evans back, but I mean that's nothing you can't completely handle if you were just against the Chiefs. And for us the problem is, I don't know. I mean, if they haven't been running the ball incredibly well, I think we might be able to match up all right against them. And then I guess if you go the next right is that their weakness is our strength. And that is that their defense has surrendered a ton of yards and a ton of rushing yards and this and that. And our offense is built around that component. Now, this says Baker's cooking. The Bucs offense is currently 7th overall in the league, averaging 369.5 yards per game. This is thanks in large part to Mayfield, who is also 7th overall in league quarterbacks, averaging 254.5 passing yards per game. He's throwing 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and has the 6th best quarterback rating at 104.1. Mayfield has 6 games so far this season where 250-plus passing yards. Even when the Bucs were on a 4-game losing skid, he was able to post back-to-back games, averaging 350 yards. And Tampa Bay's bounce-back win Sunday against the Giants, Mayfield completed 8 of 10 downfield 10-plus yard attempts for a season high 172 yards passing on such throws. He averaged 17.2 yards per attempt on the day. So Baker is cooking over there, and they got a little life in the run game. Go to the next one, Cody.
Yeah, Bucky Irving has been a big part of their offense and how they're running the football.
He had a solid showing, they wrote, pulling in 5 of 6 targets for a game high of 68 yards, averaging 13 yards per catch. He's had, and Evans his 10th straight season with 1,000+ yards, demands attention from defenses. Evans is back, but their leading rusher has 500. The Oregon product has 579 yards and 5 touchdowns on 108 carries. The past 2 weeks, Irvin has posted 160 yards on the ground on 25 attempts. Irvin caught all 6 of his targets for 64 yards. Now, look, I want to point this out is that before we just say, hey, Baker has been playing great. He's been playing great when he had Mike Evans and Godwin. They suffered a lot. They had no receivers in that time period. But they did play a Giants team that had that just cut. Didn't they cut Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their team is now. The only thing that's sad to me about this is that they destroyed the Giants, and we barely beat the Giants. Now they did have Daniel Jones at that point. It was in Germany, and they are a mess. I'm not saying that all of a sudden this is reflective that we should be scared against the Bucs. I think the Bucs have been a little up and downish, and maybe the Panthers can. Hey, if you stick around, maybe pull a win out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of it is going to depend on one, how does J.C. Horn match up with Mike Evans? Because DeAndre Hopkins gave him some problems. Okay. And Mike Evans is another elder statesman at wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough, but that's why you drafted a J.C. Horn, a big, strong corner that can match up with these big guys like a Mike Evans. So that's going to be incredibly interesting. Our ability to stop the run is once again going to be on display. And listen, we've been running the ball effectively. And as you mentioned, Tony, Vita Vici, the Tampa Bay defense is currently the 4th worst in the league overall, having allowed an average of 376.2 yards per game.
Parenthetically.
That's what I thought it was. Parenthetically, the secondary is also 28th overall, allowing an average of 255.5 yards per game. But the Buccaneers still have Vita Vea, and the defensive tackle dominates the game plan. He's on track to have the best sack production of his career already with 6 sacks. His career high is 6.5 in 2022. Those 6 sacks lead the Bucs this season. And if having to worry about Vita Vea on defense wasn't enough, the Bucs rolled them on the field on offense against the Giants, lining them up at fullback to clear the way for a Sean Tucker touchdown run. That's a 6'4", 347-pound man barreling down on defenders at the goal line. So
all this information via Panthers.com.
Yes, via Panthers.com. And this is going to be the key to the matchup. What team is able to better run the football effectively? And Tony, I don't have to bury the lead, man. I'm picking the Panthers to win this. I think that right now we're riding up.
Let's all get on it.
Yeah, I think we're riding enough momentum. I think that we're running the football well enough. I think that right now
Canales revenge game.
Yeah, man, this team has confidence right now. They got some swag to them. They got some bravado. I really love what this team is doing right now. I am going to pick Carolina 24-17.
I'm rolling with you. I like this 28-21.
I was going to say we're going to blow it out, and our defense is going to show up. We're going to be 35-14 Panthers.
Nice.
Let's go.
I like
and
the
Jonathan
idea.
Brooks has a career game.
Hell yeah. I like the idea of Bryce Young continuing to get momentum against the struggling secondary.
Yes, sir. And you know what? Last but certainly not least, if you would like to continue to show your love for the C3 Panthers podcast, head over to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Get you a C3 Panthers podcast t-shirt to let people know you're repping that C3 Legion, baby. And listen, you're going to need some coffee on game day mornings. Get that C3 mug and get you a hot cup of Joe in the morning and wake up at C3. You already know you need it.
Love it.
Come on,
love
man.
it.
Love it, love it, love it.
All right. Actually, we got one call that snuck in. We'll play it.
Yes,
We'll get our
JD, I forgot to tell you about that. My bad.
Q, hey, it's Young Son Wukong again. I do apologize. I think that call that I was just playing was the last one, but I wanted to ask a question. Something that I had thought about with the offensive line moving forward. I think it's one thing that a lot of organizations, specifically, like I look at the Patriots and how Bill Belichick would always get rid of a player like a year or two before he needed to. And I'm curious as to whether or not you guys think that Morgan will do the same thing. I asked that question because I'm curious as to what the line might look like, the offensive line might look like next year if they decide to shift things around. I know right now Moulton is probably the oldest guy on that line, and I don't think his play has declined, but with BC and K. Mays and Zavala, like we have really good depth on the line right now.
Yeah, we do.
I'm trying to figure out a way in which possibly I think the line would be improved. This is something Cody said a while back, like years back. If you put BC at left tackle and let Icky take the left guard position, I heard it floated out before. I think Lewis or Hunt has a background being the center, or like cause obviously they paid Lewis and Hunt. You're not going to want those guys getting that kind of money and not starting. So I just wanted to ask, like, what do you guys see happening with Moulton or with the offensive line moving forward? But yeah.
Oh yeah, interesting. We're gonna have to see how we continue to grow this offensive line as
we're on the hook for about $30 million for Taylor Moulton next year.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. That's going to be a big question in this offseason. And I know Pickle has been one asking that question a few times already about what we move, how we do the Taylor Moulton experience moving forward. But I'd hate to get rid of the dude because he's been our only consistent player, and
I missed one game in 7 years or something.
I mean, he's like, you could say he's had bad games, but as a whole, he's probably been historically one of the best offensive linemen we've ever had in Carolina Panthers history.
Yeah, I thought he was declining 2 years ago, and then he kind of had a resurge, and he hasn't been a problem this year, from what I've noticed. A liability. Maybe a restructure.
He's had a couple of bad plays, but for the most part, he's been solid, and he continues to show up. But at the same time, that's not going to remain the case for very much longer, you would probably argue.
All right.
I've also, like, as much as I would love to see Brady Christensen at left tackle and Ike Ekwonu at left guard.
It's not happening.
It's not going to happen, man. They're not going to give them the chance to do that. I think Robert Hunt, there's no way you would move him to center after seeing how good he's been this year. I mean, again, against Chris Jones, he didn't look great, but it's Chris Jones. He's been just an absolute dog in the middle of our offensive line, and I think that he's needed at right guard, especially if we do, for whatever reason, decide to move on from Taylor Moulton because of that cap hit. I think it's going to be really good to have a dependable right guard for whoever goes next to him.
Is there any chance that Icky could be a better right tackle than a left tackle? You see a lot of these guys that they forecast to be left tackles coming out of college have success on the right side. I think the Detroit guy was real high up. I forget his name. But, is if you have to let Taylor Moulton go, is there a chance that you could find a rejuvenated life for Icky on the right side? Mm-hmm. And not say go out there with Brady Christensen as your starting tackle, but maybe because, there's not any spots for him anywhere else. So, all right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We got one final segment to go, and that's where the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. where we ice up some fools. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Now it's going to be our Hall of Fame homage to Steve Smith. I hope he says ice up, son, in his Hall of Fame speech. Let's get these fools, bro.
Let's get them. Time to ice some fools up, toughen up, get your act together. The longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our time to step outside of football if we'd like, or focus on football. We can ice up anybody. Everybody's fair game. I have a few tonight. One, I'm going to ice up these stupid ass guinea pigs that my daughter got at this point at the worst effing time of our lives to get any pets. Blame that on somebody else in my life. But my kids are out of town for Thanksgiving with their mother, and I have to I went and touched this hay. I've been sneezing and sniffling all day just from touching this freaking hay. I got a couple more. I'll hit you one in case you guys want to bounce around. This is a fun one for me. I don't know if this is I doubt this is a news story, but I love these threads where it's like craziest interactions of all time on the internet. And who knows when this happened, but this Naomi H_official tweeted, "Everyone shut the fuck up. I got accepted for a NASA internship." Guy Homer Hickman replies, "Language." She says, "Suck my dick and balls. I'm working at NASA." He responds, "I'm on the National Space Council that oversees NASA." And then if you look at the stories below, it says, "Girl loses NASA internship after insulting engineer Homer Hickman."
You idiot.
All right. So does anybody else got one? You want to bounce around, or you want me to keep rocking?
So I don't have, I do technically have a video, but I damn sure can't show it. But how about this? I'll read to you the headline, and it should be bad enough. PETA undercover video alleging shocking abuse of turkeys at Butterball plant, where Butterball employees were filmed having sex with the turkey. So, to everybody, we're coming up on Thanksgiving here.
Don't butter your balls with a Butterball.
Be careful with the Butterball.
I do have another one. We'll back off, or we'll bounce back and forth.
All right, CK, you got one?
I'll go with one that's just basic. It doesn't have video or anything like that. I've been trying to keep an eye on the power rankings. We already kind of touched base on it. And the ESPN one, the fact that they had us go down in power rankings is absolutely hysterical. And I just I don't know how much say because obviously it was the statement that was printed with their power rankings was written by our favorite David Newton. But after this game, it was a loss, but was it really? And so to go down the power rankings in any scenario after this game that we had on Sunday is hysterical. I'm not saying we should have jumped up, but we sure as hell should not have moved backwards. This team did not show anything that warranted them being a worse team this week than they were the week before.
Yeah, I think better.
So absolutely, so I'm icing up ESPN and whomever decided that Panthers were at that ranking after a performance like they just put on.
Yes, sir.
This is one. This one's fun to me. This is not an ice up, more of an internet celebration right here. I hope this is true with the Wingstop account. I've seen 2 Wingstop. Whoever runs the Wingstop account is on point. The tweet said Wingstop account, Twitter account needs to be stopped. This girl says, "Are we flirting right now?" Wingstop replies, "Are we?" She says, "You close to Texas?" He said, "HQ is in Dallas." So yeah, she said, "I'm 3 hours away. Be there soon." ? Breaded or naked? The response: breaded is great because of boneless wings, but bone-in sounds like a better option. So the latter.
Yeah.
God, I need you in me. She replies. He says, all you have to do is open your mouth.
Yeah.
The Wingstop accounts.
That's marketing right there, boy.
Getting freaky right there. Ice up to people that don't laugh at that. You have had, and I got one more.
Yeah, so I guess I gotta ice up myself, like my man Diesel Skill says, because I really be saying crazy shit on the internet, and somebody was talking shit to me at some point. I think he called me like Timmy from South Park or some shit, and I'm like, I bet I could walk sooner than Bryce would be good for the Panthers. So you know, I'm happy to report your boy can walk now. Oh fuck! Look at the step, crip walking across the stage, baby. Oh shit!
Yeah.
We up.
Good job. Good job. Way to have fun with it.
Oh, dude, you know I'm having fun, baby. You can't stop me from having fun when the Panthers are looking good. That's all I want. You know what I'm saying? So
Ice up, Cody. My final one is ice up to people that get Chinese tattoos. Not as funny as you expect. This just says this guy's tired of seeing Americans with Chinese tattoos, so he showed her what it would look like to a Chinese person. He just wrote water on his arm. So I thought that was funny. Ice up to water tattoo. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com every Tuesday night. We chop up the latest news and opinions from the fan perspective. Go and do us a solid. I didn't put up the damn post-game show onto Spotify till today. So if you guys, I know people have been probably waiting for it. Been kind of just up and down with my consistency on that. So if everybody could just go to Spotify, iTunes, or whatever and press play and listen to like the first 4 minutes of it in the background or download it, even if you're watching today's show, that would really help us. We need to get those numbers back up. Cody Lack, always good hanging out with you. CK, a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Cody, take us out of here, my man.
C3 Legion. Until next time, keep pounding.